They thought the Amazon was empty, until the lasers looked underneath.
The Amazon rainforest, over 5 million square kilometers of impenetrable, dense jungle, a place where the modern world completely fades away.
For centuries, it was considered a green desert, a hostile environment incapable of supporting advanced human civilizations. But in 1925, one man decided to defy the scientific consensus, driven by an ancient secret. His name was Colonel Fawcett, a legendary British explorer who became obsessed with a hidden city he called Zed. Fawcett believed that a massive, highly advanced civilization once thrived deep inside the uncharted jungle. Armed with nothing but an old map and absolute conviction, he ventured into the unknown, accompanied by his son. They marched into a region controlled by uncontacted tribes, thousands of miles from civilization.
Then, a final message was sent back. And after that, absolute silence.
Fawcett, his son, and their entire expedition vanished without a single trace. For nearly a century, the Amazon held its secret, until a new technology looked through the trees and found the impossible. The disappearance of Colonel Fawcett sparked one of the biggest rescue operations of the 20th century. Over the following decades, more than 100 people died or disappeared trying to retrace his steps and find the lost city. The jungle seemed determined to keep its secrets. It swallowed every expedition whole. Anthropologists eventually concluded that Fawcett was chasing a myth. They believed the Amazon soil was too poor to sustain large-scale agriculture. Without massive food production, they argued, a complex civilization like Z could never have existed here. The case was closed. Fawcett was labeled a madman, and the lost city of Z faded into legend. But the modern era brought a tool that Fawcett could never have imagined: LiDAR, light detection and ranging. By firing millions of laser pulses per second from the sky, archaeologists could now virtually strip away the trees. They pointed the LiDAR sensors at the exact region where Fawcett had vanished.
And as the digital canopy vanished from the monitors, the impossible emerged from the shadows.
What the LiDAR scans revealed shocked the archaeological world. Beneath the dense jungle, there wasn't just a few scattered ruins. There was a massive, interconnected network of ancient settlements, stretching across thousands of square kilometers.
These weren't isolated tribes. They were connected by perfectly straight, wide dirt roads that cut through the jungle for miles.
They had engineered massive canals, dams, and artificial lakes, mastering the flow of water in a tropical environment. They created their own dirt, a highly fertile, man-made soil known as terra preta. Everything Colonel Fawcett had predicted nearly a century ago was completely and undeniably true. He had literally walked right over the remains of an empire that housed upwards of 10 million people. The lost city of Z was real. A thriving, highly advanced metropolis hidden in the darkest corner of the earth. But this massive discovery only raised an even more terrifying question. At its peak, this Amazonian empire was more populated than many European countries of the time. But their incredible network of connected highways would become the very thing that destroyed them. In the 16th century, early European explorers arrived on the coasts, bringing an invisible killer: smallpox. The disease traveled inland far faster than the Europeans did, spreading like wildfire through the trade routes. Without natural immunity, up to 90% of the massive population was wiped out in just a few decades. The survivors had no choice but to abandon their grand cities and scatter into small, nomadic tribes to survive.
In the tropics, nature reclaims its territory aggressively. Within a century, the greatest cities were swallowed entirely by the green canopy.
When later explorers finally reached the deep Amazon, they saw no ruins, only untouched wilderness. They assumed the jungle had always been empty. But Colonel Fawcett had found a single, surviving artifact that whispered the truth. In May 1925, Colonel Fawcett, his son Jack, and their friend Raleigh Ramel pushed beyond the boundaries of the known world. They were entering the territory of uncontacted tribes, warriors who fiercely protected their lands from outsiders. Fawcett's final letter stated they were crossing into a region where no white man had ever returned from. The Kalapalo tribe, the last people to see them alive, warned Fawcett of the fierce tribes that lay ahead. But driven by an obsessive belief that the city of Z was just over the next ridge, Fawcett ignored the warnings. What happened next remains one of the greatest mysteries of the 20th century. Historians believe they were either ambushed for breaking tribal protocols or simply succumbed to the merciless jungle. For days, nothing but silence echoed from the Amazon. No bodies, no equipment, and no survivors were ever found. The jungle had swallowed them whole, keeping the secret of Z safe for another 100 years.
Today, LiDAR technology has mapped only a tiny fraction of the Amazon basin.
With millions of square kilometers still completely unexplored, archaeologists are left with a terrifying realization. The lost city of Z was not an anomaly. It was likely just one piece of a continent-wide puzzle. How many more massive empires, forgotten technologies, and lost human histories are still buried beneath the roots? Colonel Fawcett sacrificed everything to prove the world wrong. In the end, the jungle took his life, but validated his legend. Nature is the ultimate eraser. Given enough time, it will swallow any monument we build. The Amazon holds its secrets tight, and it reminds us that our own modern civilization is more fragile than we think.
The true extent of the ancient Amazon remains hidden in the dark. The file is closed.
The mystery remains.